I'm Danielle Stiles.
And I'm Chasey Bardach.
Today we are talking with Lora Stayton, who you may all know from Brickhouse Coffee Co.
Yeah.
But we know more personally and professionally through a business of hers that she's spending some time leading into over the next couple of months. If you follow her in social, you'll definitely notice a pivot in her personal brand as she evolves into this space where she spent the last 23 years personally and professionally mentoring lots of young women that have come into her life. So today we're going to dive into a little bit about what does it mean to have a mentor, or as we so often hear about them, a coach in the business. Lora today navigates these paths with her husband in business, who actually runs Brickhouse Coffee Roasters. And Lora is stepping out of her role in Brickhouse and leaning more into the space of really truly being a personal and professional mentor. So let's chat about that a little bit. Tell us how that family structure kind of layers into your coaching business.
Yeah, so support systems are just really, really important. And that first support that everybody needs is in the home, right? Under the same roof as you. So if you're a young person who maybe lives at home with your parents, or you're married and you have kids, right? Whatever that is, you've really got to create that support system in the home. And it doesn't necessarily mean doing what Jared and I do, and that's working side by side together every day and being together 24/7, because most married couples probably can't do that or don't do that, right? But it does create, it's what I call the buy-in, right? The buy-in of that support. And that looks different for everybody. As Jared even launched Brickhouse, it was just me coming alongside him and doing some administrative things that maybe he wasn't good at, being that person for him to bounce ideas off of and to, right, to pitch to. It was that idea that we could all come someplace together, and I could just work alongside him and doing whatever was needed if I needed to do that. And sometimes it's just being at home, right, and keeping household going and not needing like his every moment while he's out doing what he needs to do to build his business and his brand, right? And I know each of you kind of have that in your own businesses, right? You both have husbands that support you in different ways.
Yeah, it's crucial,
Yes.
especially when you have kids.
It definitely is. So what happens when you run into a situation? Because I know I've definitely ran into it where there's a little tension and maybe they're not 100% on board. Like how do you mentor us to get our spouses on board? Please tell me that.
Right. I think part of it is for them, it goes down to your marriage relationship, right? Your personal and professional lives are definitely intertwined. And as women entrepreneurs, we know that. Because most often, the woman of the house is being mom, maybe a stay-at-home mom or full-time mom, right? You're doing all the mom things, and it's kind of, societal expected of you kind of a thing, right? It's a society expectation.
Hormonally expected.
Right? And
Yes.
everybody just wants mommy. They want mommy first before they want daddy. And so I just feel like, it's really having that conversation with your spouse. Like, right, is everybody on board with mom pivoting and mom pursuing this business and doing this entrepreneurial walk and this thing? And the support for your husband could just look at like something of watching the kids while you go do a shoot, right?
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be that he's literally like going with you and holding the camera and doing all that, not doing what
That's
Danielle's
not gonna
husband does
happen.
and building signs for her, which is super awesome.
Yeah.
But it's giving them a place to feel like they're a part of what you're doing. It's so different, I think, when a woman works sometimes versus a husband. A husband goes to like a job, usually an office, a 9-to-5 kind of a job, right? They might own their own business, and as a wife of a husband who has their own business, I'm able to step in and help, but oftentimes you can't go help your husband in his job, right? It's just something that you can't do. So it looks very different, but it also is necessary. You do help him by watching the kids or finding sitters or doing something else, right? Keeping the house going, doing those other things, right? While he is at work doing his job. And so it's the turnabout. It's that, okay, like I've been doing this, we need to like change, right? We've got to change the dynamics. And sometimes that's the hardest thing, is changing the dynamics of your home.
Yeah, I think a huge component of that, honestly, is the families who maybe have less of a structure in a home place. A husband who has a flex schedule or an inconsistent schedule, or maybe houses that are single moms, that a husband is replaced with a mother or a sister or a friend, or whomever dynamically is considered your family.
That's right. Your tribe.
Your tribe.
Yeah.
Can you chat a little bit about advice for women who are trying to navigate getting people in their lives on board with their big visions? I think that as an entrepreneur, kind of this evolution that we have is okay, I think I have something. And then we use our immediate sounding board to say, does this make sense to you? And those may be colleagues or friends or spouses. But we need those people, right? Like, so I have found those people as women in business. You know, Chas obviously is that for me for Indie Social. I'm like, hey, I have this idea. What do you think? How does this work? And being able to say to somebody, I think maybe you should wait, or maybe just not yet, or maybe this way instead. That's tough feedback.
It is.
And you have to have that. But I think that who is that for you is very different for everybody.
It is. And I think part of what you have said is, you know, for me, that is my husband, right? Like we've been doing business together for a long time. We're in the mission field together. We've literally been working side by side for much of our 23 years of marriage, right? So it's just a long time to work side by side with somebody, right? Yeah. And you do have that. And I'm a little bit for that. He's the dream big person. Right? And so I'm the one taming him down and taming the crazy and right? And like, okay, right? And just helping guide. But I think sometimes we have a hard time like hearing that from a spouse or a mom or a dad because we feel like they don't understand us.
Right.
Yes.
So a part of getting them to the buy-in is getting them to understand you and why you have this passion. Why are you doing this? Share your why, right? It's not just because like, oh, like I am so great at photography, like I want to do no, why? Like you need that creative space. You need that creative side. I mean, it really is partly why I'm doing this pivot from leaning more into my mentoring is because Jared, working alongside him in the day in, day out of, running a roastery, running a coffee house, doing all that, he looked at me about 6 months ago and said, I miss my cheerleader. I miss the person who I can bounce the ideas off of and who tells me go fight and win, right? As opposed to the person who's in the mundane of the everyday and has the
taken on the task.
Taken on the task and has a ton of that weight. He's like, I miss my cheerleader. And it's really, and he goes, and I can see others in your life miss their cheerleader too, right? And it was like, wow, okay, right? While I'm great at those administrative things, I can now, being good at those administrative things for women professionally, right, help them in their professional life with business administration mentoring and business leadership mentoring, right, and help in that capacity in a space where I am totally called to and have been walking in for 23 years.
So there's lots of women who don't have that, right? They don't have their husband. They don't have that sounding board at home. So your mentorship program is essentially going to be that extension that serves that role. Can you talk to us a little bit more about how clients should approach a mentorship program?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like searching out a life coach, right? I don't love that title. To me, a coach is somebody who, right, you're sitting down, you're having practice sessions with, and then they're like, okay, go out there and do it, and then you're kind of checking back in at halftime and at the quarters, right?
Yeah.
To me, the reason I love the word mentoring, because mentoring is about doing life together. It even is why I have my handle of Lora Stayton .life, right? It's about doing life with people. It's professional life mentoring. It's personal life mentoring. It's really like where I love walking alongside people in just the everyday, right? It's not just meeting with them. It's sending them a text or, sending them an encouraging meme or checking in with them about something that they've asked me to pray for them about or that I know that they have going on. It's that continual doing life with other people, not just a sit-down session and it ends there and it's, okay, now you're on your own.
I love that. I think for people who are really looking for some guidance, I think a lot of times you are in your business and it's so hard to get consumed by the everyday tasks, right? So to get big picture or vision, is that what you're offering to them? Is the opportunity to kind of be that sounding board for those concepts or?
Yeah, I mean, really anything. I mean, you two know this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's really anything. It's like, what am I need help making a decision and you don't have that husband, you don't have that spouse, you don't have that community, which is super important. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But like, it's having that person that you can talk to that maybe you need to work through some things. You don't know how to control your calendar and your clock and you don't know how to create peace in the chaos, and you don't know how to do some of those things, and you need to get perspective. You need to, and you just need somebody to bounce those ideas off of. So just that, or just really taking people through a journey to really get them to know who they are, so that they can then make intentional, purposeful decisions.
So when someone is ready to come to you, how does this process start? And my second question would be, how much access do you allow them to have to you? Like, what does that look like?
So the process starts basically with kind of a first session. I really start everybody the same way, and that first session is what I call a vision event. It's just a time to just cast vision for you to really like get to know yourselves and your what you're thinking in your personal life. Even if I start somebody on a professional level, I'm going to start there. And part of that reason is because, like I said before, your personal and professional life, if they're out of balance, right, your professional life can still feel very chaotic because your personal life is.
Right.
Right?
It's huge.
Touche, my friend. Touche.
Right? And it makes it feel very, very out of balance. Like your life feels out of balance. And so the first thing is just to get to know you. Like, okay, what is my purpose? What am I trying to be purposeful in? Who am I? What do I want to do? Right? Creating that vision for your life, for yourself, and then being able to launch from there, right? Who do I want to be? Where do I want to go? What do I want to focus on? Right? And then going, okay, now I can like move forward. I can create a plan for my business. I can create ideas and thoughts for my family, for my personal life. And so that would be the first place that I really start with everybody. And then from there, it just kind of depends on whether I'm walking into this personal space of, creating like a purpose life, or if we're walking in the professional space of like business administration or leadership, and all of those areas.
It's amazing. I think you mentioned before the concept of community is pivotal.
Absolutely.
I want to chat a little bit about that because those who maybe feel like they are lacking that person at home,
Yes.
family member, friend, they don't have a mentor today. I think a lot of them have probably sought out community because that is such a pivotal piece in just like our overall general well-being, right? We as humans are made to communicate and collaborate and to be around other people. But in the world of business, I think that's very much why the indie social community has come to be, because it has been so powerful for us personally that we want to share this gift with our community and grow that. So chat a little bit about that. Are you helping these women become introduced to communities? Are you helping them cultivate their own communities? What is that experience?
Yeah, I know that I'm not the answer for everybody, right? And I think any life coach or anybody who's like, oh, I'm the end-all answer and I'm all you ever need. They're a little full of themselves. Like, that's totally not the case, right?
Yeah.
And, like, I love being able to connect people to other resources that maybe are beyond my expertise. I'm not an expert in everything, right? But at least to hear what needs are and be like, oh, you need this, or you need to get in contact with these people, and right. And I always say I have tools in my tool belt that I can like pull out and say, okay, like here's this resource. You need to call this person, or hey, let's get you connected and make a personal introduction with some people. But community is huge. Back to the family part, like you may not get them to like totally support you, but at least getting them to buy in to where they're allowing you to do what you do, but you may not find that super encouraging support that you really need to pursue.
They might watch your kids or give you space.
Right, and give you space to pursue, but they're not like cheering you on in that pursuit, right? There's a difference, right? They're willing to stand by and be a bystander, but they're not cheering you on, and that's where the community comes in, right? Indie social for, women entrepreneurs, like we're cheering each other on, literally.
Yes.
Right? Every day we're cheering each other on. But it's no different if you're joining a running club. You've got a running plan, a running goal, right? You're joining in that running community. You're trying to lose weight. You're joining a gym or a fitness community and getting tied in, right? You're trying to grow deeper in your faith. You're joining a Bible study. You're joining a church small group. Like, that's what we need to do, because that is that space in pursuing those goals and in pursuing that intention and purpose still in our lives. You're going to grow because you have others supporting you in that exact same mindset, right? They're in the same space that you are. They're in the same mindset that you are. They're trying to go after and be a part of the same thing you are.
Yeah, the feedback's totally different.
It is, right? Because they understand. There's an understanding, right? It's why when somebody's like suffering from drugs and alcohol abuse, they're joining a support group, right? It's everybody is like-minded. Everybody has the same, right? Like same experiences a little bit, and so you can feed off of each other.
Do you find that people most often need or lack community, or is the support at home? What do you feel like is a bigger hurdle for people to overcome?
I really feel like it depends. I have found that people that have really great support at home tend to not want to get outside of the home, me being one of those people. I have great support at home. I mean, our whole family, my 20-year-old and my 14-year-old work with us every day. We are all together all day long, right? I homeschool my 14-year-old. Like, we are all together all day. And so it takes a lot for me to say, oh, I'm going to go be intentional and get out and be a part of other community where it's like-minded people, right, doing the same thing. I find people that don't have that support at home are very, very community focused, and they spend lots of their time outside of their home, but then that also lacks the buy-in that they're getting at home. Because now everybody sees you as being away from home and not like they don't matter anymore.
Oh, it can create resentment.
Yeah. Right? And that there's no support in that, right? So I think there's a really hefty balance, but I find that people lean one or the other, and they have a hard time transitioning to do both.
Can you talk about your personal experience kind of overcoming that, right? So you mentioned your kids work in your business. Have they always worked in your business?
The girls have gone to school, but what's interesting is they went to private Christian school, and I was actually teaching there. So we literally all went there. My husband was on pastoral staff, so we all went to the same building every single day, passed in the hall. I was their teacher, right? And we left. We were on the mission field, and so of course that's going. We ran a community center in Spain, and we ran a fitness center, and again, right? Like, we're there working. Yeah. And my kids, our apartment was in the same building, and it was like 20 steps away. And so they were in and out, after hours. They were sweeping the floor. Yes, they were, 10 and 7, but you know what I mean? Yeah. We've always done that, like invited them in to be a part. Even when my husband was developing our very first logo, my girls are artists, and he said, draw me a picture of what you think it should look like. Didn't mean that he was going to necessarily use that, but that's the buy-in. That's how you get your kids in. That's how you get, so asking your husband for, like, what do you think? Even if you know that you're not going to necessarily listen or not necessarily take it to heart, asking him for that. Like, that just means the world that you would just consider, because really, like, our husbands especially, like, their opinions matter, right? Their perspective matter to us.
I want to hang on that for a second, because I will speak into some personal experience. I think this conversation has been had no less than a dozen times in my household. Don't ask me for my opinion if you're not going to take it.
Oh, yeah, I hear that one all the time.
So
I hear that one all the time.
I feel like that's almost treacherous conversation, because if I'm going to ask you for your opinion, and I know that you maybe can't give me an opinion from the place of understanding that I need that opinion to come from, but I want to respect your opinion. Yeah. But then you're going to feel like it's a disrespectful thing for me to do to not take your explicit advice. Yeah. How do you navigate that?
Yeah, I think some of the way that you phrase it, I would say I'm gathering input from multiple people. I'm taking a poll. I did it with all of you guys here recently.
It's just communication.
It's the way you communicate. And I think so much often we get offended by the way someone else responds to us, and it was our initial reaction that caused that response in the first place. We aren't getting the response we want, but we didn't ask the question right. We didn't ask, you're like, I want your opinion. Now, people ask my opinion all the time, and they can take it or leave it. It is not my job to dictate.
In an emotional, spousal situation, I feel like maybe tempers could flare.
Absolutely, and they could.
But in business too, like in business partners and relationships, like we know, like we definitely know how you ask and what you're looking for. It needs to be very explicit, but that's your buy-in. If you can create a brand and run a company with your business for 23 years. And work beyond, like 23 years, right? You guys have been together that long?
Yeah, married 23 years.
Married 23 years. So how long have you actually been in business together, like working together?
Well, when my daughter my 20-year-old was a baby, my husband did the mortgage business, and 2 days a week I put her on a parents' day out, and he's horrible at administration, and so I went and put things on the computer for him and helped him make phone calls and stuff like that, because or some days I go to the gym, but you know what I mean, like just helping him do that.
That speaks volumes about you.
Always done stuff together. I mean, we've always done stuff together. I've always been his cheerleader.
For me, as a female entrepreneur who is a work-at-home mom, I feel like I could take everything that you say and apply it to my day in the life every day, because it is never I am working or I am mom. It is always I am mom while I work.
That's right.
And I approach my business that way for a couple of reasons. Number one being I want to teach my kids that I am a believer in gender roles in the sense that it fits what makes sense for your family. So for my family, you're not going to catch me on a or on a ladder cleaning out gutters. You will find me in a kitchen cooking dinner while my husband is outside cleaning out the gutters. That works for my family.
Right.
But also what I want them to understand is that mom, because she stays home and she cooks dinner, she may be on the phone holding a business conversation that's selling a house that was what afforded the opportunity to eat that dinner, right?
Absolutely.
But I don't have to be doing one or the other. I'm often doing both at the same time. But because of that, I'm always spinning. I'm always wearing multiple hats. And I, as somebody who doesn't have a very strong personal family background, I don't have a mom or family members that knew me in childhood who are still a part of my life. That's obviously a very uncharted territory for me to learn how to mother, but learn how to mother while being a business owner is like a whole nother dynamic.
Yeah.
I guess I should say, who is it that you're speaking to? Like, who is it from a mentorship perspective that is your target audience for I should say, life experience? Are they just moms? Are they a certain age? Like, is there any sort of demographic? Because you're singing to my heartstrings, knowing my circumstances.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, is that only that mom space that you play in?
No, not only the mom space. Obviously, being a mom, I can speak to that mom space, right?
Yeah.
And being a mom with a 20-year-old and a 14-year-old, I can speak to moms of a lot of different ages, right? With a lot of different age range. But no, I mean, I have mentored 16-year-olds. I've been mentoring some, I guess they're young women now, since they were, seniors in high school or freshmen in college, and now they're in their mid-30s with 4 kids.
Okay.
And I've, even over the last 2 years, had the amazing opportunity of women in their 40s, the same age as me, like coming up to me and saying, okay, this is good. Stay-at-home moms. Like, they got kids. They're going to school every day. They're just a stay-at-home mom. They're like, okay, I feel like life is out of control and chaotic. I need your help. I just need some guidance. I just need some direction. I just need a little bit more of what you have. I don't have it all together. You know this. Like, I always say, right, my brokenness builds a better bridge than my pretend holiness ever could, right?
Hold on. I love this
Yeah.
saying that you're saying. Say it again and slower, because it is seriously so huge.
Yeah, so my brokenness can build a better bridge than my pretend holiness ever could. Like, I'm a perfectionist at heart, and so for me, just to live by that, like, people are gonna accept you more when you can be authentic and real, and these are my struggles, and this is what I've gone through, and I've gone through the same struggles. I've gone through trying to juggle, and I've gone through trying to figure out life balance of being a mom and being a good mom and a good wife and running a business and doing all those things, right? But I don't want to pretend that I have it all together, because I don't. I really mentor from my life experiences, and I mentor in a way that, like, you can come broken and you're not judged for that brokenness, right? You're not judged for being broken or feeling chaotic or feeling whatever. You know it's a safe place to be able to say, okay, I am totally having a rotten time. I don't have my act together. It looks like I do. I feel like I'm falling off a cliff. I need help, right? And I think sometimes as women, just people as general, we have a hard time saying, I need help. And I feel like that's why people don't have that mentor, or they feel ashamed. It's like counseling. It's like anything like that. People feel ashamed to, like, have to reach out to ask for somebody else to do something that they feel like they could do themselves.
Or they should be doing themselves, or they should have a spouse or somebody. Like, I think that for me, that was a huge piece is, obviously not having a mom or somebody who could mentor me into motherhood. I mean, that's huge, right? So then you start reaching out to, like, friends and who else has kids? Well, for me, I was one of the first women in my circle who was evolving into motherhood. And I think that it was a huge opportunity for me to realize what a hole I had in my circle, right? Because I felt very whole before children. I had all of these women who played very specific roles, and I had, because I don't have family, I had community,
Right.
Exactly. And my husband and I, as a newly married but had been together for a long time, my husband, that's why my username is Miss Danielle Styles. He has always been my person, but we don't work together. We're not, like, again, he probably couldn't tell you exactly what I do for business. But that works for us. What doesn't work is that space of the unknown, the, like, I'm just winging it space.
That's right.
That I think a mentor feels such a sincere need in
Absolutely.
my particular life. And I found myself earlier this year kind of seeking out that, okay, I can feel that there's a hole here, but I couldn't even begin to tell you, how do I find a mentor? How do I begin to budget for a mentor? Like, am I looking for words like coaching or mentorship? Do they need to be local? Can you like talk a little bit about how one who kind of can really relate to the conversation we've had today start to seek out that mentorship?
Yeah, I think most important for me when I think about mentoring is being able to connect with the person that you're talking to. If this is a person that you're going to be broken in front of and that you're going to really want to confide in, there's got to be a comfortability factor, right? There's got to be this like, okay, I really like this person. I feel connected. I like being around them. I like their space. I like whatever, right? Like there's got to be that. So I think that's where interviewing, several people is not a bad thing to find out what is the right fit. Who is the right fit for you, right? It's like you can join 10 business entrepreneur groups, but really find the one that feels like your people,
Right?
It's just that kind of a thing that you just know it's a right fit. And I think too, like coaching can cost the gamut. I'm really trying to make my pricing in a sense that I want to be accessible for the everyday person, for the college student who's working a part-time job that needs that guidance, to the stay-at-home mom who maybe it doesn't have a job, so it's going to come out of the family budget. But it's also a necessary to me thing in the sense that it's just like a doctor's appointment. You don't just not go to the doctor because, you budget for it. You budget for that cup of coffee every day, right? And if it's important, you make it happen, right? Whether that's with your time, right, your talents, or your money. You make it happen, right, if it's important. And so I really feel like it's really important for people to take that step and realize that they're valuable enough to invest in themselves. And that really is what it comes down to, I feel like, with coaching and mentoring a lot of times, is that people, I even know some of the stay-at-home moms, right? It's like, yeah, I'm just a stay-at-home mom. I shouldn't have to. We've had the conversation about employing a house cleaner. Like, I'm home all day long. I should be able to clean my house. No, right? Sanity-wise says somebody else can do that, and I'm being able to now support another woman entrepreneur in doing that, right?
Yes.
And so it's finding that value, knowing that you are worth it. You are worth the time that it takes to know who you are and to pursue intentionally life, and not just let every day go by, every hour, every minute, every week, and be like, where did the time go, right? And that is something that I strongly live by. I don't want to ever get to the end of a day and be like, I don't even know what I did with my day.
Yeah.
Get to the end of the week and be like, I can't believe it's this day
It's
already.
Thursday already.
It's
Where'd the week go?
Yeah. What happened, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't ever want to say that. I want to know that I've woken up each day and I had a purpose for that day. I had an intention. I had
a little
plan,
closer.
right? And
Yeah.
I got a little closer to that goal, or I got a little closer to being the person that I want to be.
Okay, so do you use any tools or strategies? Because I'm going to hang on that for a second. I'm a stark Enneagram 7, and I'm always I've got one more thing. But I could do one more thing before I stop and get gas.
Yes.
Right, so do you use Enneagram, or do you use any other tools or resources that kind of help you better evaluate where somebody currently is? Or what I often find to be the case when people explore the Enneagram is that they think they're one place and they're actually somewhere else.
Yeah, I love all those personality types. I always have, like, even being a high school, college student, like, you know what I mean? Some of those have been around for a while. So, I mean, I love that, love the Enneagram. I love all those things. And I think those provide a great insight into your personality and who you were. But one of my tools that I really use is a behavioral assessment created by Dr. Dan Snively. He's actually here in Indiana, and it's called the Lion's Lead. And what I love is Dr. Dan's philosophy is God created you who you are. Your personality is your personality. It's not going to change. But you have behaviors that you exhibit in your life that are working for and working against you.
What is this program called?
It's called a Lion's Lead assessment, and you can only take it through a Lion's Lead person, which I am. And so it is one of the things that I pair with my mentoring to just really dive into behaviors. Maybe somebody's just like feeling like it's really a great way for me to get to know someone a lot better, because their assessment tells me a lot about them. It's kind of like when you take an Enneagram test, like you all of a sudden you go, oh wow, right? Your eyes are kind of open, but it's more open on the behavior side of things. So it's actually an assessment that I use. It's one of my tools to take, and I have multiple different layers, whether it's in for business teams, or it's a personal level. I have a more overview one, and I have an in-depth one, and so it just kind of depends on where somebody wants to step into the gamut and how deep and dirty they want to go with it. But I really love this assessment. I've known Dr. Dan now for 4 years, and he's just been an amazing mentor to me, even in my life, and spoken into my life. And so when I was talking about really launching into being in this space of mentoring as more of a business, I called him and I said, hey, I love this assessment. I actually helped write a mentoring curriculum for junior high and high school students that the assessment is tied to. He actually uses the assessment for Fortune 500 companies, NFL teams, NBA teams. He goes to them and talks about their players and gives them a feel for that's how it can be used in business. Here's your whole business team, and here's their good behaviors and their bad behaviors, and it helps you engage with your employees and your business team a whole lot better. But I just said, hey, I would love to have my own portal, have my own access to it, and be able to use this as part of my mentoring. And he's like, absolutely. I'm going to support you in whatever you do. And so I'm just really excited and blessed that he's let me kind of take that on. And I've been trained in doing that for the last 4 years. Doing that.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I think there are so many women who can relate to this conversation, and they have likely been pitched or seen coaching or mentoring at some point in their career, whether it's, a targeted ad on Instagram, or whether they've read a self-help book, and people have all these online academies and programs. So are you only coaching local women, or is this program available to anybody anywhere?
It could be anybody anywhere. I mean, obviously having a conversation can happen over FaceTime, can happen, over Skype, can happen.
Okay.
Right? It
So
can
it's
really
not just
happen.
coffee dates. It's anything, remote,
Right. My
virtual.
favorite thing is having coffee and conversation. I'm a little biased to that.
What's the bottom of your cup say?
It actually says caffeine queen. Yes. Oh, yeah, you can. I forgot. It says that. This is my cup at the shop, so I'm sure that no one else uses my cup. But yeah, I am the caffeine queen. So I love having coffee and conversation with people. But being missionaries in Spain, we have a lot of friends overseas, and my friend Mabel and Maria both live in Norway, actually, and 2 different friends, but we actually meet via Skype and have coffee or wine dates together and talk. Not that I'm mentoring, but it's just my hangout time. So I'm very comfortable with just doing hangout time via the
Remote.
internet and remote,
Yeah.
because really it's having conversation. I love I feel like the people that you're around and meeting face to face, there's just something really super authentic and original with that, but it can happen obviously remotely as well.
So how do people find you?
The best way is just connect with me via social. Facebook, Lora Stayton, or on Instagram at Lora
Spell
Stayton.
it.
Lora is Lora.
All right.
Lora. I'm a real Lora, as my dad likes to say. Stayton, Stayton. So,
Perfect.
and then I do have a landing page, lorastayton.life, for the mentoring. But really, like I said before, my thing is doing life with people and being connected with them in a relationship. So just find me and connect socially. You can DM me. You can. There, and it's just I really want that community and that fellowship that happens, and hopefully it moves from stalking my social media page to you actually connecting with me one-on-one for a coffee date.
Yeah, I love that. So if you are interested in working with Lora, definitely check out her landing page, lorastayton.life. You can fill out your contact information on that form, and she will definitely reach out to you personally. But if you're looking to just learn more about what she's doing, I think, if you've been following the Indie Social at all, you've seen Lora's face a lot, and I think that speaks volumes to how we all perceive her as valuable to our brand and our lives. You have unquestionably been our biggest cheerleader. But even times when, I'll give the example, I called you to say, are you ready for this podcast recording? And 30 minutes later, we're done with my mentoring conversation before we talk about what we're going to chat about on a podcast. Yeah. But that's because you do have such an incredible gift of really tapping into what we need when we don't know we need it. What we need to hear, more importantly, because we are always our harshest critics. We are always going to see things from a different perspective than outside parties do. And that's, I'll just speak from my personal experience, been such an incredible resource to me in my business and my personal life. most importantly to what I know will be my children's childhood and their memories of their experience of their mom. Because, I'll get emotional talking about it, but it's true. Like, business and personal are not two different conversations. At least for me in motherhood, it's not. Other women who don't have kids, I would assume, would say similar things. But I always try to approach my business and mothering in a way that I know is going to be my children's memory of those times in my business. Because if I look back at the stages of when I first started my business, I don't want their experience of that time in their life to be like, mom wasn't available, or she was grouchy, or she was always tired, or always on the phone. I would rather build my business slower and have that be a more positive experience. But as a business professional, it's hard to not push. But it's more difficult to not give yourself space to let it take time. And I think that's a lot of times what our conversations just allow me to do, is just to create refocus, I should say. Create intention. Yes. And then stop wondering why things are happening. Like, why are we in the circumstances where, why do we feel like I'm in chaos? And as you so delicately put it to me the other day, it's because I'm creating it for myself.
and you took it.
And in Danielle fashion, I said, you know what? You're not wrong.
You're not wrong.
You're not wrong.
Until she thinks about a reason that you are wrong. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you love Lora as much as we do, because I hope you connect with her. I hope you follow her on social. And I hope, most importantly, you are willing to invest in yourself, your business, and your sanity to get a mentor.
Because you're valuable.
Because you're valuable. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you in the next episode.